Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ohio State Primetime Live. I'm your co-host Ryan Stano.
And I'm Garrison Gaddy. Well, everyone, if you haven't already yet, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. Also, because I don't want to forget this, and I want everyone to see this, and we do have our new website out, everyone. Here, it's vocfb.com. It's really awesome. You can go there, find Ryan and myself. You look at host, go and see our writers down there, see all the articles that we have. Just be sure to see what you like out there. Make sure to post it. Again, there's a lot of great content that we have at the channel for a lot of different networks. It's programs also. So yeah, just be sure to check that out next time you're surfing on the web. And sometimes I like to sit on the toilet and spend go on a 30-minute hold on YouTube. I probably just read an article. So
Yeah,
mm.
yeah,
then
definitely check that out.
also, if you would like to be a member, please press that join button. That right there, you don't have to do it, but it helps just grow the community that we have here. Also, it allows you to see some of the up and coming content that we have that will only be for the members, and then maybe later distributed out, brought to everyone else. I'll save it. I'll tell it because I can actually say it now. I'll let everyone know when we get a few more people in here what the big news is that we have coming. But Ryan, we've missed you.
Yeah, I was gone for a
We're,
couple weeks.
oh, Ryan, I lied. I got one more thing, man.
Yeah,
One
go
more
ahead.
thing, and I just want to give last night. My dog of 10 years, we had to put him down.
Oh
Let me,
man, I'm
yeah,
so sorry.
and you know what? And let me tell you what. He was born in 2014 and he died in 2025. So he got 2 Buckeye National Championships out of it. As you see here, he was a good dog because he knew exactly where to take shits.
That's right,
So
natty puppy.
oh man, I can't. We're probably gonna. He does have an Ohio State jersey. We're probably gonna frame it. Honestly, we need to do
You
something with
should,
it.
you
But
should.
yeah,
R.I.P. to the
man.
very goodest boy.
Oh yeah, big boy Nike. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan. Now you were saying.
Yeah, no. I've been gone a couple weeks. For those who don't know, I was on my honeymoon. We took a belated honeymoon. It worked better for my work schedule at the time. Ended up kind of being a little bit more busy with what I'm doing now, but it was a great time. We were over in Italy. Saw a lot of sights. Did a lot of things, and I obviously missed a lot going on with Ohio State. So I kind of just want to fire off some takes on some of the stuff that I was not here to talk about, and that we've missed over the last couple of weeks.
Mhm.
And the first thing I wanted to talk about, at least get off my chest, is Jim Knowles is he's a lion. It's a bunch of bull what he
Yeah.
said. Like, and I'm sure again, I know you covered all this stuff I'm going to go over here on the show, but the fact that Jim Knowles said, "Oh yeah, it was if they'd offered me a contract extension before the Natty, I
Mhm.
wouldn't have looked at other places." That's a load of shit. You
Yeah.
left because you got a bag, and that's fine. Just say because they were going to make me the highest paid defensive coordinator in the game, I went to Penn State. Just come out and say it. Like we get it. We're not mad about that, but like when
Uh-huh.
you keep just saying, "Oh yeah, no, Ohio State they screwed up, they fumbled the bag," that's when you're going to start getting under fan skin, and the defense in general is really going to want to really take it to Penn State on November 1st. So that game's a lot more interesting. um, One of the other things that I wanted to fire off:
Mhm.
how on earth is Sharon Moore suspended for 2 games, but they got to choose which 2 games that Michigan wanted to suspend him for? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You're going to suspend him for Little Sisters of the Poor and Little Sisters of the Poor, North? Like,
Mhm.
you let him coach the Oklahoma game. He's not going to miss any Big Ten games. So explain to me how that's really a punishment. I don't get it. It doesn't seem like the NCAA is going to let that fly based off what we've heard. So I hope they don't let that slide. And I know we're going to get into some other recruiting news later on in the show, but glad the Buckeyes were able to lock up another wide receiver.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. You can talk about that. Yeah, go ahead. What do you, Kane Dixon Wyatt? What are your thoughts on that?
Caden Dixon Wyatt. And we talked about him earlier on, a few weeks ago on the show. He's a solid player. He's someone who can really do a lot on the field from whichever position he lines up, whether he's slot, outside guy, like he can get separation. Agreed, Mike. You're right. Right there based on that comment. But he's clearly someone that Brian Hartline thinks can be great. He doesn't offer scholarships to guys who he doesn't think can be great, and he doesn't really pursue hard guys who he doesn't think can be great. So, it was obviously good to make Oregon sad again. I like making Oregon sad because I think they can just buy every recruit at this point. But, he's a really solid player. And I think he's, he just adds to a wide receiver group that's going to be pretty darn good coming in next year. So those were my the takes I wanted to fire off here to the start. What do you think about Caden Dixon Wyatt?
I like him. I think he's a really good sized athlete at 6'2", 180, 185 pounds. Not the fastest guy, but he has a 39-inch vertical. So that makes up for it. I am excited about him. I think I would assume that Ryan. I would assume that Brian Hartline is done recruiting for the year. I mean, at least for all wide receivers, his role is a little bit bigger now.
Yeah.
So but I look at what we have in that class of wide receivers, and I think that is pretty set. I do like everyone that's in there. Even with having Boyd, I think he's a really good project player because he already has all the athleticism and all the speed. So no, but I'm really happy about Caden Dixon Wyatt coming, and I didn't think he was gonna come to Ohio State, but then I saw on the message boards from Oregon the day of, they're like, we think it's gonna be Ohio State, and so I'm just happy it is.
Yep. Yeah, me too. And I generally agree with you that they're probably done taking receivers, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like I wouldn't be shocked if they added one more. At the end of the class. But again, like you mentioned, receivers not their priority the rest of the way. So they need, as the offensive coordinator, he's going to have some other bigger fish to get, and it doesn't look like he's going to get the big guy tomorrow, but we'll see.
No, that's not going to happen.
I don't think so.
Now, I do think it would be the funniest thing ever if Canwell.
Actually, for those who don't know, we're talking about Jackson Cantwell, number one recruit in the country. Tackle.
It's just I'll say this much: I had more confidence of Tyler Bowen getting him than I would have Justin Fry getting him. So, but I think it's probably going to end up at Oregon. I mean, Oregon, they've taken some hits over the last few days.
Tell you what,
last week, my goodness.
Based on what I've heard, there's some stuff that Miami's throwing a bag at him, and it sounds like
I don't think he's going to pick I know a lot of there's two reasons why I understand him going to Miami. A, the money, which in all reality, I don't know if money's a thing for him. His family has money, but this is a little bit different. There's a chance that probably what he makes in college is going to be more than what his dad made as a professional Olympian.
Yeah.
Also, Mario Cristobal, since he was at Oregon, has a history of putting out really good offensive linemen. So he's an O-line guru, I would say.
Yep.
But I believe he's going to end up at Oregon or Georgia. I just think that.
Yeah, I don't think Ohio State's got a chance. I think we're going to on that.
No. And I don't think it has anything to do with Ohio State. We've talked about it before. I think there are certain things that he wants as a person, as a player, as in you brought up about being in a smaller city, that I think Ohio State does not offer. So.
Yep. It is what it is. So, next piece of news, now I got all my, initial takes out, and you've got it on here on the screen. We knew this was coming. Like, it wasn't a very big surprise.
I didn't. And that's why I'm pissed.
Oh, really?
I'm one of those idiots, Ryan, that held out hope. I'm one of those guys.
you held out hope that Fox was not going to claim the Ohio State Texas game in the opener, not make it a big noon. For months, that's been the rumor. I kind of, it instead of making it a primetime game on ABC or ESPN or whatever, they decided to go ahead and, I mean, Texas went ahead and bid, or Fox went ahead and bid on it, and they take the big noon. So once again, another big time game will be played not under the lights at the Shoe, which again, I'm not surprised. This is something that has been rumored for a while. But
and
honestly,
they haven't said noon yet, but
that's the only slot Fox really has,
yeah.
especially week one when they're trying to make a marquee game like that. But it's honestly, I think this plays more into Texas's hand because noon at OSU in August, it's gonna feel more like Texas. It's I understand fans are very frustrated with the amount of noon games that Fox has, and they put all the really good Big Ten matchups on there. But this is what Fox's marketing strategy is. This is what happens when the Big Ten signs a deal with Fox. I don't really know what else to really do about it. I mean, what do you think? I know I'm not happy about it. I would have liked to have seen the game under the lights, but I kind of accepted this.
It just sucks because you gotta assume this. We already know that the game is at noon at the end of the year. Someone pointed this out rightfully pointed this out. The Penn State game will be happening during the World Series.
Yep.
So that game will be at noon in Columbus.
That'll be a nooner. Yep.
And then something happens with Illinois. Something like that, but that game's going to be at noon. That game's going to be at noon.
If it's unless NBC grabs it.
There's no way.
If Illinois is undefeated going into that game, which I'm not sure that's going to happen,
I think they will be. I think they will be. That's why. There's no way that Fox is going to let that happen.
Well, if the problem is if they've already grabbed so many, I mean, it was like last year how Ohio State and Oregon played on NBC. Like that was a night game. So NBC can grab one of these marquee Ohio State matchups. That would probably be the most likely one. Unless they do somehow grab that Ohio State Penn State matchup, that would be interesting.
They can't, Ryan. They can't. They can't. That not during the World Series. Not during the World Series.
I think they could. I don't know if they are, but I mean, at this point, you're throwing your faith on NBC to take that. I mean, CBS will likely. You know what? I can see an Ohio State Illinois game being a CBS game. I can see that being a 3:30 game. And
but that all right. But if that happens, let's say there's a 3:30 game. That's still in September. Then it's not going to be because some 3:30 games like when Ohio State and Michigan played 3:30 in 2006. Yeah,
that was a very special scenario. Where it was 1 versus 2, and that'll never happen.
But I mean, like where it gets dark during that time, the other day during November, we're not going to have that with Illinois. So essentially, who's our night game? Who do you think? Nebraska?
The home night game is likely going to be
not Nebraska.
Oh boy, Minnesota. That's probably what you're looking at.
I bet you it is that game.
Because it'll be too late for UCLA and Rutgers. I mean, that's in November, and Ohio State throws a fit whenever they got to play a night game in November. That seems to be likely.
Would you take that game in November? Matchup. Would you take that UCLA game in November at night?
UCLA is terrible.
I would take that game, but I would take that game at night. I think if you get UCLA and Nico Amaliva, I'm not a believer. And if you get him rematching Ohio State night game, and you never know because at that point in the season, UCLA could be they could be trying to fight for bowl eligibility. So they probably still, you never know.
So the problem for Ohio State is 5 of their Big Ten games are on the road.
Mm-hmm.
So you really these are your options when it comes to the Big Ten and a home night game. You have Minnesota, October 4th. You have um, you have UCLA, November 15th. Rutgers, November 22nd. That's it. Every other Big Ten game is on the road, and you have you're playing your first 3 at home at Texas, Grambling State, OU. You're certainly, I mean, hell, the OU game might be the Big Ten Network night game. Like that could happen. But,
Mm-hmm.
you're not getting any. I mean, because the other marquee matchups, we already know Texas is going to be at home. We talked about Penn State already. That's probably going to be a nooner. So, I left that out of the equation. And it's Illinois in Champaign. So they don't really have that as an option. So my guess is if they're going to have a home night game, it's going to be Minnesota, which kind of sucks because they're Minnesota, and they're not going to be good.
I like Minnesota. I think Minnesota's gonna be a good team next year, but they won't be like an
I think
Ohio
Minnesota
State.
will actually be better than UCLA. Like UCLA, they're not good. And the whole point of a night home game is you want to have people in the stands for a big time atmosphere. I'm not sure having UCLA fit that bill would help that objective.
Good point. Good point. It's a shitty. Listen, I don't like being there just predicting for Ohio State. Because I do, and I mean this can lead into our next topic. I mean I do believe it hurts recruiting because I do think night games help recruiting.
I think just playing marquee opponents in general helps recruiting.
Yeah.
But you mentioned recruiting, so why don't we just go ahead and transition into that? Ohio State did get a big one today.
Yes.
They got a nice piece. 4-star cornerback Jordan Thomas. He's a cornerback from Bergen Catholic out in New Jersey. Ohio State's got a long history of grabbing kids from the state of New Jersey, so he just becomes the next guy. And he chose Ohio State really over Michigan and Notre Dame. Those were the kind of the 2 other guys that were the big boys. A&M was kind of in there too, but not. I mean, it was really Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Michigan that were the final 3, and he chose Ohio State. And he's 6'1", 175, so he's got pretty decent size. He becomes the second corner for Ohio State in this 2026 class. And, Tim Walton has started to, hopefully this helps him get a little bit more momentum to bring in more corners, quite frankly, because I would like to see them grab at least one more corner for this class. What are your thoughts on Thomas and, Walton adding to the cornerback room?
Yeah, I did see like a lot of scouts have him like going both ways. Some people have him as an athlete, but of course we're looking at him as a defensive back, as a corner.
Yeah, he won't be. There's no room for him on the offense.
No, there isn't. But I do think that with how versatile a lot of the secondary is for the Ohio State Buckeyes, also just knowing that you never know if guys leave, you never know if guys get hurt. You got to keep the really good depth, elite depth there. I do believe Jordan Thomas is one of those guys. Again, you're getting him over Michigan, you're getting him over Notre Dame, which are 2 other programs. Both programs over the last 3 years have put in first round corners.
Yeah.
Last year, Will Johnson probably would have had those knee rumor injuries going around. Even though
I think he's cooked. He might be cooked.
Yeah, I hope not, man, because that felt bad. Because unless I really hope that comes. I want to know what it is. I want to know what it is because it
sounds like his knees are shot, but no one's going to come out and say specifically what it is.
That was a drastic drop for him. He was a top before that he was a top 5, the top 7, 10 player in the draft. So it was really interesting. But no, but they've done that. But Ohio State, I think these young men, they see what's developing there. They see the coaching staff. They Coach Walt being the DB coach and also the co-defensive coordinator has a lot of respect there from the staff, the program, the institution, the players. the recruits. So and clearly I think the guys have a lot of fun around him and they seem as a father figure. I think that's
Yeah.
what you're getting.
Yeah. Excuse me. And you made a good point. I mean, just the fact you're able to land him over Notre Dame, Michigan. I mean, those two teams played for the national championship in each of the last 2 years. Obviously, Ohio State beat Notre Dame, and Michigan got that asterisk national title in 23. So it's always good to be able to show that you are the premier Northern school, and get those kinds of recruits in those battles. That helps you stay the premier Northern school. So I'd like to see. I'd like to see, like I said, at least get one more corner. I know there's a couple of guys they're looking at that are pretty highly rated that they're hoping they can land. But they definitely need more depth, and that's especially true if they're going to end up losing some guys in the transfer portal next year. But again, we'll see. I thought we were going to lose more than what we did this year, and the Buckeyes didn't lose a single scholarship guy in the spring portal. So that tells you
Yeah.
something.
One thing I want to talk to you about, because maybe I know you probably saw this. Tyler Atkinson talked about who his top school was, top program, and it was Ohio State. I knew we were in the running for him. I was pretty confident, we'll be in his top 3 whenever it comes down to a top 5, whatever he's gonna have. But in my mind, I was like, man, can we get Sincere and him? I'm like, I mean, Sincere. Let's be honest here. Sincere is a shoo-in. That's it's practical. I won't say it's a shoo-in, but I think we have a lot of reasons to be confident that we're going to get Sincere Johnson.
I think it's more likely to land him than to land Tyler Atkinson.
Yes.
And for those who don't know, Atkinson, linebacker, number 1 linebacker in the country, 5-star recruit. All the big boys are after him, so Ohio State's got to fight ahead of him.
It's like getting a Riley Pettyjohn is huge in itself, but getting like a Tyler Atkinson is like he has a lot of the tools. He reminds of Riley Pettyjohn. He reminds you of like an Arvell Reese, guys like that. Honestly, a lot of the guys we have in our linebacker room, very big athletic guys. And I think that, when you hear that as a Buckeye fan, that he's at the top, could he just be saying that? Sure. But I've always been one of those, Ryan, I'm not going to go out of my way to call these kids liars. I'm going to take it for face value for what it is, all right? So I'm very happy about that. What do you say?
We'll see. I worry about Georgia. Georgia seems to be the other team that's high, that's up there. I worry it could come down to one of those scenarios where it's who can give me the biggest bag. And Ohio State's I'm not saying they're running out of money, but there's some other recruits at higher positions of need.
And Ryan, they said it. He said money's not going to be the conversation here.
Sure, he did mention that, but let's be real. When it's a 5-star recruit and you're the best at your position, I'm pretty sure they'd be okay, up in that fund. So it's going to be interesting. We'll see how he goes with his recruitment. I mean, Ohio State's been on him for a long time. Like they've had a relationship with him for a while. If Laurinaitis can close the deal on him, that would be probably the biggest land for him as a linebacker coach yet in terms of recruiting. And we'll see. I'm not like you. I've got a little bit more faith that they can land Sincere Johnson than I do Atkinson. He hasn't made an indication on when he's going to make his choice yet. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see. And Ohio State's got time to make a better, to keep making an impression on Atkinson and hopefully get him to commit. But again, really only time will tell for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other piece of recruiting that I want to talk to, I know you might have a couple more as well.
Go ahead, yeah.
Well, Buckeyes offered a scholarship to the brother of a legendary player.
Yeah.
And Marvin Harrison Jr.'s brother, Jet Harrison, was offered by Ohio State. He is a 2028 receiver. So, it's quite a ways away. But he's already shown that he can be, he's already shown that he's really good. And he's already kind of he's already big, even though he's still pretty young. Like he's 6'1", 175. He could still grow. Like he's not small. And if Ohio State has, and like I mentioned before, Brian Hartline does not offer kids who he doesn't think can be great. So if he thinks Jed Harrison can be great, it's good to get on him early, knowing that you've got that family connection with, with Marv coming. And I mean, there's not like I'm not gonna lie and tell you I've seen film of him because he's like a freshman, so I don't really know how good of a player he is. But I mean, what are your thoughts on the Buckeyes just offering him anyway? Like it can't. I trust the coaching staff to make that decision. What do you think?
Well, I forgot where I heard, when this was or who it was from, but it was while Marv was here, and it was like a lot of people were raving about him, like Marv talking about his little brother, saying, "Yeah, like he's that good. He's probably gonna be better than me." And like a lot of the times that happens when the younger brother or younger sister, the younger sibling becomes better than the older one. I think this is Ohio State just getting ahead of it. This is Ohio State is getting ahead of it because they know he's gonna be. They know he's gonna be he's gonna have a big name, not just because of his last name, but they think he can play like that. If you go on 247, I mean, Ohio State's his only offer.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's
the only one.
It's first and only offer. So I think there's one of those situations where you kind of look at some guys they offer them in middle school, they'll offer them the freshman year because they want to get that rapport, make sure that they cross all their T's, dot their I's with the player, and create that relationship. Not that Jed doesn't already have a relationship with Ohio State. Everyone in that room knows about who Jed is. They all gave him a handshake or hug him, I'm sure. So no, I think it's really exciting for him. I'm happy for the kid, and I hope he ends up a Buckeye down the line.
Yeah, me too. And I want to be on the record here. I never want to see Ohio State ever offer a middle schooler. That's insane to me. Offering a kid in 7th or 8th grade, that's ridiculous. I never want to see that happen.
Happens all the time, man. It's crazy,
I know.
man.
Unfortunately, that happens, but I don't. Come on. That's too early for
me. Before we go to a break here, there was a question I have for you.
Okay.
So 5 names here: 3 D linemen, 2 edges. Aiden Harris, number 2 defensive lineman. Deuce Gerald's number 6 defensive lineman. PJ Dean, number 5 defensive lineman. Then you have Luke Waffle, number 8 edge. John Cool, the number 9 edge. 5 guys that are high on Ohio State's list, and vice versa. All of them look at Ohio State. For some of those guys, like PJ Dean and Deuce, they are right. If you go on 3, they are thought to be going to Ohio State.
Yep.
My question is, of the 5 players, how many does Larry get?
That's tough because of his recent recruiting record, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm super confident they'll get one. I'm pretty confident they're going to get PJ Dean. I would be shocked if they didn't, quite frankly. Of those names, I feel most confident about him. I would say they get at most 2. I'm hoping they get 3. They really need 3. But I think a good over under is probably 2.5. And I think it's the under. I think probably 1 or 2 is what we're looking at. What do you think?
I mean, if you want to make some money, I would say 2.5. I'm at around 1.5. I do think we get PJ Dean. If you ask me who was next on this list, I think it would be Deuce.
Yeah. But Dean's the only one I am like, okay, we'll probably
Dean's that's the only one that I'm like plus 90% sure we're gonna get.
Yeah.
Deuce from around 65 to 70. Waffle
for me, it's just over a coin flip for him. I don't know, but
you said for who?
For Deuce, I think it's like 50.
It's a coin flip. I'm very confident, but I'm like 60 to 65%. I'm overly confident in that one, but not by a lot to where I would say 80%.
Yeah.
Waffle, Cruel, and Aiden Harris. If he pulled off, I'll tell you this. If he got us PJ, let's say we got PJ Dean. Actually, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even know if I really want if we need Cooler Waffle. I would like to have him. I think we need two of those D tackles, those D line. We need two of those D line.
We definitely need we need at least one of the defensive tackles. Like I think that's what they really need.
If we get one, I'll be comfortable. If we get two, I'll be happy.
I think that's probably a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's
that tells you where we're at when it comes to Larry Johnson's recruiting at this point.
This is a situation, and I'm just looking at some of the photos. I mean, clearly, Matt Patricia says he wants to recruit. I think this might be some of the situations where Matt Patricia might have to come in. If not that, well, yeah, and it has to be him because he worked with the front seven.
Which tells you again, Patricia. Like when we got hired, both of us agreed that like Patricia likely wasn't going to be a huge factor on the recruiting show because he wasn't seen as a likable dude. But if you have to trot out the unlikable dude to try to seal up some of these recruits, that tells you where the defensive line is in terms of the recruiting. These are the gripes we have with Larry. Like I understand he's done great. There's a large segment of the fan base that still loves him, and I mean, we both of us have said we appreciate what he's done for the Buckeyes in the past. Like his development for up front for a lot of these guys has been good. Both Bosa's, Chase Young, Taekwon Lewis. I mean, JT, Jack Sawyer, like those guys. But at some point, like you've got to be able to bring those top level recruits in again.
Yeah. No, you are definitely right there, my guy. You are. Before we get to the other half of the show, everyone, a few things here from the Voice of College Football and from our fearless leader, Mark. Get your business, product, service, or personal brand to the next level by partnering with the Voice of College Football. Let's discuss how you also can reach your target market. Check out the experience of one of our current partners, that being the Win Agency that you see here on the screen. We are here to deliver for you. Contact us at sponsorships@vocfb.com. Again, that is sponsorships@vocfb.com today.
Yeah, please do that. By the way, before we get to our...
we got one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
You can make a difference here at the Voice of College Football. Use the Amazon link. Financially contribute to the Voice of College Football without spending a penny. Same shopping experience. It's easy. Go to any video on any channel. Go to the description section and grab the link right next to the capital letters that say Amazon. Use that link, and Amazon will instantaneously convert to your account, settings, history, everything intact, just like whatever link you use right now. No difference. Pay no attention to the product that you see right there. Just go search what you want. Don't forget the Amazon link. Thank you for your support. Sincerely, the Voice of College Football.
Well, before we get to some of the other things we've got here on the docket, I noticed on Twitter that you decided to stick with the Dallas Cowboys as your NFL team after some interesting signings. I want you to explain your decision here.
It's a toxic relationship.
And after the trade for George Pickens specifically, that's
okay. Yeah, so what happened was we have a top 5 wide receiver duo in the NFL.
Oh my God.
But this is like my make or break year. Like this is I need at least NFC Championship.
Oh my.
But I will also be rooting for the Steelers this season.
Oh
I will be rooting for the Houston Texans this season. I'll be quietly for my family and my mother rooting for the Lions.
Okay.
The Jets.
Okay.
That's it. I'm gonna be honest. I hate everything about my Cowboys. I'm just here because I can't leave now. It's 32 years, man. I can't leave now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But this was something else, that I missed over the show. What did you think about Ohio State's about where some Ohio State players got drafted in terms of like they had more first round picks than everyone was expecting. I mean, Mecca, first guy off the board, Tyreek Williams, just guys that snuck up there that I think are going to be really good players for their teams.
Mm-hmm.
And who of the guys drafted, where do you think the best fit is for like a certain Buckeye? Because I've got one in mind. I love that the Colts drafted JT Tuimoloau.
Well,
I mean, obviously I'm a Colts fan, so I'm biased.
Wait.
Exactly, I'm biased. But he's a good fit for that team because he is someone that can play both inside and out.
Yeah.
Ohio State, they like to have their defensive linemen do that. The Colts like to have their defensive linemen do that too. And he's not going to be necessarily need to be relied on as the number one pass rusher, but he's a guy who can play both the pass and the run. So, and they rotate in a lot of guys, and he was used to that early in his career. So I think he's a good fit there. And as much as I also think Beck is a great fit in Tampa, quite frankly, with the way they throw the ball around, he's going to get a lot of targets.
I think the best fit for a player for one of the Buckeye players was when we got to the 30th pick. And I remembered what that Super Bowl looked like. And Josh Simmons was still on the board.
Yeah.
And I tweeted, I said, Simmons to the Chiefs, ? And lo and behold, it happens. And because I think that was the right choice. I think it was the right move.
Yeah.
He's going to go there, start right away. So that's what I think was the perfect fit. And then second to that, I would say Jack in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Going to outside linebacker. Ryan, I want to ask you about this. Because when the draft happened, a lot of Buckeye fans were surprised that they were surprised where Jack went in comparison to JTT, right?
Yeah.
And me personally, I mean, I just told everyone you shouldn't be surprised. I'm one of those people that I separate my fandom from the play when we get to the draft, right? And I just got brutally honest about Jack, and I said Jack has short arms. Jack doesn't really have a bag of moves. Jack doesn't really have a lot of bend. He's not like some elite athlete like JTT is. He's a really good bull rusher, but I was like, but you look at JTT and his measurables. People forget that JTT, when he was playing 7-on-7 in high school, he was a tight end and wide receiver. Like, he is a really good athlete.
He's an athlete. I mean, he was a basketball player. Like, he had multiple offers D1 to play basketball.
And mind you, it was one game, but I'm telling you right now, that game you got out of JTT in 2022, was it? Or 3?
Are you talking about the Penn State game?
That was 22, right?
That was 22. That was 22.
Jack would never do that. Jack could never do anything like that. So, yeah, I just thought that was really interesting and wanted to know what you thought about that.
No, I mean, that's right. But if I'm being honest, Sawyer was the more consistent player of the two. Not that we talked about this. Neither one of them were super consistent throughout their career. They, had flashes, but they weren't able to, put it all together, or keep it all together for most of their careers for being 5-star recruits. But I do think that I think both of them are probably in decent spots, as much as I hate to say it for Sawyer, because, my dad's a Steelers fan and I don't want the Steelers to be good. But, I do like the JT fit. I actually think Will Howard's going to get a shot to play for the Steelers because their quarterback situation is so dire too. So I think that's an interesting fit. But yeah, I wanted your quick thoughts on that because we hadn't done that, but we can go ahead and move on.
No, whoa, one second. Did you think Judkins and Trey would go that early in the second round?
I was surprised that Judkins went before Trey, to be honest. Like I thought Trey was going to get picked. I actually did think they were going to get Trey was going to go that early. There was talk he was going to move into the first round.
Yeah.
Like they were thought the Chiefs could have taken him in the first round instead of taking Simmons.
That would have been a terrible pick. Not because of the player, but just in terms of needs.
Correct. So no, I wasn't shocked. And like I said, what did surprise me is the fact that Judkins was the one who went before Trey. But the Browns liked him, but they're also the Browns. They also drafted Chitter Sanders right after taking Dylan Gabriel. So who knows what they're doing.
What did you think about that interesting drop of Shedeurs, by the way? Like we got time, so what did you think about that?
Look.
Look.
Well, if I'm being honest, this quarterback draft was like really, really bad. Like it was one of the historically bad quarterback drafts. I don't think he should have dropped to the 5th round, but like anybody that thought he was a first round pick, I just didn't listen to because he's not a first round talent. He's probably a late second, early 3rd round talent, but with all of the other bullshit that goes around it with his dad and the way he conducted himself in the interviews, that's why he fell. I think that's why he fell. I think there's no other real reason for that. When you're not an elite talent as a player and there's other baggage that comes with it, you don't get the benefit of the doubt. You just don't.
No.
So I think that's why he fell. I actually think the Browns aren't a horrible place for him because, their quarterback situation's pretty messed up as well. What hurts is that they drafted Dylan Gabriel right before that. So I don't know.
Yeah, that was as someone who has been a very tenured HR person, the only thing I can say is half of being hired is being likable. Clearly,
that's right.
Clearly, Shedeur has some likable.
He didn't master that,
yeah. So a few things before we for our guests, a few things I want to bring up here. We can briefly talk over some fun stuff here.
Yeah.
Joel Klatt's top 25.
Okay.
Now, I necessarily didn't have any problems with it. I did think Bama was a little bit high. I'm not high on that team at all. The top 7, top 8, I think is fine.
Okay, look, the glazing of Penn State has to stop.
No,
it's got to stop. Penn State is not the number 1 team in the country. Give me a freaking break.
Are you sure though? Are you sure?
Yes.
Like going into the season? Wait. Going into the season?
Yes. Going into the season, I can confidently say that.
All right.
I think both Ohio State and Texas are better. Give them top 3, fine. But to give them the number 1 spot in the country after the history that they have of in big games, the display that we saw from Drew Aller in his last game, like we're really okay saying that guy's like gonna be good all of a sudden. Like I understand he was a 5-star recruit when he came out of high school. Are we really sure that? First of all, does he have guys to throw the ball to? Because
yes.
Like,
they brought in 2 transfers that can play football.
You know who else they got in a transfer from last year? They got Julian Fleming.
That's different.
What did he do?
These are we're talking a proven wide receiver from USC, 1,000-yard guy from Syracuse. That is different than a guy who has a paper clip for a left leg, a broken stick for a right knee, and has no athletic ability anymore.
I am very not high on their receiver play, and they lost their best offensive player. Tyler Warren was their best offensive player, and he's gone. I do like their running backs. I do like Bo Singleton and Allen. They're good.
They have a good old line.
They've got a good offensive line. Their defense, I mean, I think it's solid. I don't think it's elite. Those are my issues with Penn State.
I heard
Um,
I was gonna say I heard Bud Elliott or no, someone on Cover 3. They said they think that Penn State's offense is gonna be better than their defense this season. I thought that was an interesting take.
okay, yeah. I mean, I'll say this: Jim Knowles should come in and do some good things with Penn State's defense. We saw what he did with Ohio State in year one. He made a drastic improvement with their defense. So, I mean, I think their defense is, I think it's going to be better than solid. But I'm like the number one team in the country. That's stop. Just stop.
Actually, I would flip Illinois, not Illinois, South Carolina, and Bama. I would flip those two.
I agree.
Michigan, little high there.
Michigan shouldn't be in the top 20.
No, I wouldn't have them in the
They
top
lost 6
20.
games last year.
Like,
Come on.
because in my mind, I don't think they're better than Florida. I'm okay with Florida at 13, and maybe and you know what? Maybe it's because I'm being flip flopping here because I don't believe Michigan should be there after having 5 losses last season. But I do think Florida has much better talent than what Michigan has, and I think if DJ Lagway can stay healthy this season, they're getting 9 or 10. They're getting 9 or 10 wins this season.
I don't believe in DJ Lagway. I don't.
Why? Why?
Because he can't stay on the field.
No.
That's why.
Wait. Hold. That's one season. Hold. We're talking freshman season, and I gave a caveat. I said if he can stay healthy, that's a 9. If he can stay healthy, that's a 9 or 10 win team to me. That's a fringe playoff team.
Okay. You want to know what Lagway's stats were last year?
I don't care about his freshman stats. I'm telling you, I don't care about them the same way I don't care about Dante Moore's.
I'll say 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. That's not necessarily a great ratio. He completed under 60% of his passes. I understand he's a freak athlete. To me, they basically got junior Anthony Richardson. And Anthony Richardson is not great.
Anthony Richardson was never him coming out of high school, first off. Anthony Richardson doesn't have his arm talent. No. There's a difference between arm strength and arm talent. He don't have Lagway's arm talent. I think Lagway. I can't prove this, but I'm going to just somehow assume that DJ Lagway is just better in the brain than he is because I've been watching him for the last few years. And it didn't take DJ Lagway after 3 years of college football, 2 games to throw a passing touchdown. That's what it took him. I think, dude, we can't. I'll ask this question: do you believe in Julian Sand?
Yes.
Do you believe in Dylan Raiola?
I mean, as a pro,
as a quarterback,
as a college quarterback, yes, I did.
I think that it is I think Ryan, that it's disingenuous to say that Sand and Raiola will do that. Will be really good quarterbacks. You have confidence in that. When those two, along with DJ Lagway, who finished that number 1, they all shared that number 1 spot in coming out of high school. And he came out on top.
So the reason why I believe in both of those guys ahead of what Lagway has is because of who both of those programs had on their coaching staff. I don't necessarily believe in Billy Napier. I don't necessarily believe in, what they're doing as far as, who they have on staff around Billy Napier. I don't necessarily believe that Lagway is going to get developed like Gabriel did, or Julian Sand will be. That's a big reason for my thought. Like, I don't believe in Russ Callaway as an offensive coordinator. I think as a freshman, he got as a true freshman, look, you're going to have bumps in the road.
Coaching is going to be a big question for Florida. That I can't deny.
Yeah. Now, I mean, likewise done. I'm not saying he's not going to be good at some point, or that he can be good at some point. I just don't think he's going to make that leap next year necessarily, like as a sophomore, with those guys trying to develop him. So I definitely think Florida should be lower on this list.
And Florida's going to be able to run the ball this season. They're going to be able to run the ball this season.
Maybe.
We're going to come back to this. 9-10 wins.
I
you
want
can
your
book
thoughts. Ooh,
9-10 wins. You can book it.
I would take the under on that. What are your thoughts on IU being 21? Because a lot of their talent from last year was transfers.
Yeah.
Like all those guys are gone. So I don't see them having a repeat season like they did this past year. Do you?
I think they get to 8 or 9 wins. So I do, which I would constitute that as a successful season for them, even coming off of last season, because I think that's very good for them to have 20 wins over a 2-year span.
I'm looking at their schedule right now.
Let me hear it.
IU, okay, so they got a tough draw. So I mean, they don't play anyone in the non-conference. Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, Indiana State. That's nobody. But their first 4 games are at home, because in that 4th game they play Illinois at home. That's going to tell me how good IU is going to be.
I had them at 3-1 at that point.
Yeah, I don't think they're beating Illinois. Then they play at Iowa, and then they have a bye week at Oregon, home against Michigan State, home against UCLA, at Maryland, at Penn State, home against Wisconsin, bye week, and then the Old Oak and Bucket game at Purdue. Yeah, they're losing at least 3 of those games.
8 win minimum. I think 8 wins is the bare minimum they get. 7 or 8 wins is the bare minimum. I think that
7 or 8 wins doesn't constitute. That doesn't mean you should be a top 25 team, though. I think that's probably not.
No. But I think that's the bottom for them. I think they get the 8, 9, 10. Probably not. I mean, I've seen 8 and 4 teams ranked in the top 25, but I mean it's fringe. But I think that usually I would agree with you, Ryan. I think Signetti though has cracked a little code, and where he gets guys that are proven where they're coming from. Like, these are guys that have success. These are guys that have put up numbers from the previous program they were at, and they did it again at quarterback. So I do think they can. I think Kurt is better than 80% of the coaches in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
the talent there is getting better just by. Clearly, kids find it worthwhile to go to Indiana right now. Over the last 2 seasons, so
they're recruiting a lot better.
I think 21 is as high as I can go for them.
Yeah, no, I mean, I personally don't think they should be in the top 25, but hell, I didn't think they'd make the playoff last year, like starting the year. So I definitely could be wrong.
Now I'll tell you a team that is ranked too low on here. 2 of them, and one of them is going to pay me to say. Go ahead.
So you think if you say Michigan, because they shouldn't even be in the top. I know we just talked about it, so I know that's not the team. If I'm looking at teams that I think might be too low, I actually think Miami might be a bit too low at 18.
That was one of them.
Okay, all right.
I think my if we're gonna sit here and put Michigan at 12, then I'm sorry. You put Miami at. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would be comfortable moving Georgia and Alabama out for South Carolina and Miami. I'd be very comfortable with that.
South Carolina definitely should be. No, South Carolina should be ahead of Bama. I'm a big Lenora Sellers fan. I like what he does for the Gamecocks. Look, Carson Beck's got his flaws, but I think he still makes Miami like a pretty decent team.
Dude, it's not, they have an O-line. They have talent. They have they have running backs. Like,
defense is the problem. Defense was their issue last year, and that's
it
why they
can't
didn't
get
make
worse.
the
It
playoff.
can't get worse. It can't get worse. It can't. It can't.
They better hope not.
It can't get worse. And that's why I just think that from a talent standpoint, I don't think Georgia and Bam, like my other team ranked too low is Oklahoma.
Oklahoma's not on this list.
Yeah, they're 25.
I guess they are 25.
Eh,
Let me rephrase. Oklahoma shouldn't be on this list either.
I don't. There's no
You've
way
been banging the drum for the Sooners all offseason.
you can't convince me that first of all, Oklahoma has. I'm gonna tell you people on this graphic that Oklahoma has better talent than Iowa, Auburn, Indiana, maybe Ole Miss. They're about the same around Ole Miss. They're about the same around Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Miami. They're about the same from top to bottom talent. They have more talent than Iowa State. They have more talent than Kansas State. They have more talent. I'm high on ASU, but they got more talent than ASU. They got more talent than BYU. They got more talent than Michigan on both sides of the ball. They got more talent than Illinois.
All right, now you're talking crazy.
No, wait. You think Illinois has more talent than Oklahoma?
I think they've got no. Look, I think there are some teams that have more
I'm
talent
sorry,
than
Ryan.
Yes.
I'm not done yet. I'm sorry. I'm not done yet. You have a top 5 to 10 running back on your team. You got the number 1 player, and he's a quarterback out of Portland, John Mateer, who Mateer is going to be a top 10 quarterback this season. Last year, mind you, people want to talk about how bad Oklahoma was. Hey, newsflash. If you lose your top 6 wide receivers on your roster, I guarantee you're going to look like dog shit too.
Have you looked at Oklahoma's schedule for this year?
That's the worst that is the toughest 7-game stretch I've ever seen in my life. I think they come out of that 4-3. I think they come out of that 4-3, and I think that's because
I think they can beat Michigan. I think they can beat Michigan.
You think they can beat?
Yes, but then
what position is Michigan better than Oklahoma at right now?
Defensive line.
What else?
I know they just lost some guys. I would still say some defensive line. But look, this schedule, this stretch is brutal. You mentioned it.
Mm-hmm.
Texas in neutral site at the Cotton Bowl, at South Carolina, home against Ole Miss, at Tennessee, bye week, at Bama, then home against Missouri,
backtrack. Wait, backtrack from the 7 games to the 7-game stretch. Start the 7-game stretch.
Texas, South Carolina,
loss.
Ole Miss.
Win.
So hold on. So you think I think Texas lost.
Loss.
At South Carolina. That's a loss.
I'm gonna say loss for right now, but that the same way that today I'm going to tell you Mateer is a better quarterback than Lenore Sellers because I've seen Lenore Sellers. No. Well, I'm talking about in terms of throwing the ball. I don't believe he has the same height as he. Wait. We're acting like Mateer can't run the ball. Like, wait. Okay, wait. I'm about to go out here and tell lies. Like, I think that's a game that could be a toss up, but I will take South Carolina.
I'm taking South Carolina for sure.
Yes.
And then they have home against Ole Miss.
Win.
Maybe. Also, are we sure that? All right, you know what?
No, ask me the question. Ask me the question.
Are we sure that Oklahoma is going to be better at quarterback than they were last year when they were complete garbage and they played quarterbacks?
Did you just ask me at quarterback?
Is John Mateer really going to be that much better? I know. He played for Washington State. It's really hard for me to garner how good he is from.
I'm gonna call you out for this. You are doing exactly the same shit you did last year and other people did with Will Howard. I'm not hearing it. I'm over it. At some point, we just gotta take it for what it is. You saw Mateer. You don't become the number 1 player in the portal as a quarterback for no reason.
I'll say this. He runs the ball better than any other Oklahoma quarterback.
You
Okay,
are hating on an astronomical level.
back to their schedule. Home is Ole Miss,
So
at
I say
Tennessee.
win.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I'll give you Ole Miss win. I don't know about the Tennessee win. Bye week.
I don't know who Tennessee's quarterback is. I don't know who their running back is. I don't know who their receivers are.
You know what? Fair. Yeah, but that game's in November. They'll have some of those things figured out by then. I might give you that one. I'm not giving you Alabama.
You can hand me that. I'm taking that one to the bank. I'm taking that to the bank.
No chance.
I think Alabama is going to have the best offensive line in the country this season. With that being said, I trust Mateer more than I trust Simpson. I trust Ottman better. Ottman's a better running back than whatchamacallit for Alabama.
So I just want you to know your quarterback that you're trusting, Mateer, he scored 14 points in the against Wyoming. 14 points
Last
in
season?
the final game of the season.
Wait. I'm not playing this game where we take away 12 to 13 data points of games to point out one.
Well,
not to point out one. Because if we're gonna do that, then please point out the Justin Fields Northwestern game.
My point is, you're supposed to be getting better as the season goes on, not worse. I will say this: he had a terrible offensive line. I will say that for him. He had a really bad offensive line in Washington
But
State.
this is the way I think about it. It's the same way I thought about it. Because John Mateer is a better quarterback. I'm willing to say he's a better quarterback than Will Howard. I'm willing to say that. So yes. Like he's even a better runner than Will.
Sure, he's a better runner.
This is what I mean. When I saw,
I'm not even sure John Mateer is better than Avery Johnson. I'm not. Look, you are way higher on this Oklahoma team than I am, and
we're gonna come. You think? Oh, I just want to know if you threw, let's say,
I'll say this:
if you threw, I'll say Penn State today on the field with Oklahoma. Are you sure Penn State wins the game for sure?
Oh, 100% yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, I think I have it here. What do I have it here? Maybe not. I don't think I have Pate's top 10 on here because a lot of people gave Josh Pate a lot of shit for his top 10. I'm not far away from it. He had Florida and Oklahoma in his top 10. I'm not far away from it.
Yeah, that was an insane take.
I'm not. He had like Ohio State. Here's the thing: a lot of Buckeye fans got mad at Ohio State at 8. You can make a logical reason why Ohio State's at 8. No, you can make a logical reason. I wouldn't have Ohio. I have Ohio State around 3-5 range. You can make a logical. Let me think about it. Because did I have it up here? I don't think I do.
Here, I'll pull it up.
Yeah, because
I'll tell the people here what it is.
Because I can justify his top 10.
I can't with some of his picks. I'll put it up here on the screen so that people can see.
I can justify some of them.
Okay.
That's what it is. Do you think Jam Miller is better than Ottman?
Do I think Jam Miller is better than who?
Ottman.
I think it's.
Mind you, he wasn't even the best running back on his team last season. He just got more carries. I'm telling you, you guys you're sleeping on Oklahoma. Let me be the one to come out here and tell everyone here on the Boys College Football at Ohio State, the Boys College Football, Boomer Sooner Nation is coming back to college football, and you guys need to remember that it's like people forget that Oklahoma has been a top 3 program since the modern era. They've been a top 3 program.
And then they hired Mr. Defensive Coordinator from Clemson. Not doing so great.
This is his third year, right?
This is his third year.
I've maintained this for a very long time. I will not judge or grade a coach until he's done with his third year. Because by his third year, most of the players on your roster are yours. Or I'm sorry about the fourth year. Mostly everyone on there are your players. So,
all right. So here's Mr. Pate's top 10. Let me go ahead and share the screen with the people.
Mm-hmm.
This is who he has. Let's see. So, of the top 10 here, who do you think, first of all, the fact that, come on, the first thing is that he's got Texas as, look, he's got SEC teams at the top, which I'm not surprised, hold on a second, that I'm not surprised that he does, because he's an SEC homer, like we know that, but I there's like, to me, this is an engagement bait to have 4 SEC teams. I'm sorry, 3 SEC teams in the top 5.
You think Pate needs engagement bait?
Dude, that's all he does. He all does engagement bait. Also, Clemson is the #1 team in the country. Get that hell out of here.
Okay, so, I do have it. You want the bigger version up?
If you, I mean, here's, I can.
Oh, we have
if you want the bigger
you
version.
click on it. So, Clemson has they're gonna have a really good defense. They bring back a lot of guys on their offensive line, and I think Cade Klubnik is I think he's gonna be one of the top 3 quarterbacks in college football.
No.
I thought that Cade Klubnik showed a lot last season, and mind you, that was his first season starting. So I always give guys the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to assume that if you have shown elite play in your first year starting, he did have a successful season in his first year starting as a true sophomore, I believe that I'm going to assume that you take another jump in development. So, and they got some portal pieces. Dabo, good way to give the times. So, no, I understand. I can see why. And plus, I mean, Clemson has more returning than Clemson, more returning than Penn State, more returning than Bama, more returning than LSU, more returning than Notre Dame, more returning than Oregon, more returning than Ohio State.
Having Notre Dame ahead of Ohio State just tells me that this is engagement.
Yeah. Now that right there,
justify that.
I don't know if I can justify that one. I think he had them there because they come back with one of the best corners in the nation. They come back with who I believe to be a top 5 player in the nation and the #1 running back in college football. Who a lot of people don't like when I say this. I think he's a better prospect than Genty is.
Look, Jeremiah Love's good. Let's not go that far.
No, I think Jeremiah Love is a special running back. That's what I think about him. And coming into the season, I think there's a gap between him and the next running back. Like I would say, Singleton is up there. I think there's a gap between him and Singleton. But outside of that, I can't sit here and tell you why. I mean, but even that though, I think that's where he messed up. I think having Notre Dame.
That's where he messed up. That's where you draw the line.
No. I think he messed up. Having Bama at 4 because as I just told you, I'm not big on Bama this season.
Yeah.
LSU, I understand why he has them there. I do. I have LSU as a I have LSU in my top 5. I think Nussmeier is gonna be really good this season. I think he's gonna be one of those guys that can be a top 3 to 5 quarterback. LSU is a litany of talent. This is Brian Kelly's 4th year there. As I said, this is the year where I'm looking for LSU to make a jump, and I think that this is that season for LSU. I look at LSU not in the same light because they've had more success in the last 20 years, but I look at Oklahoma and LSU in the same light where you can only be down for so long. In Florida, I'm bullish. I'm bullish. Like I said, they are a fringe playoff team. I'm not mad at them at 9. I know I'm gonna be called crazy. Everyone's called me crazy. Wait, Ryan, I already told you my lag weight take, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
So wait. At least I'm being consistent here. I'm being very consistent from my lag weight take to this.
I don't think I'm going to be able to convince you on anything. So I think we're done here.
Well, it's not about convincing me. It's not about convincing me. I think in this instance, I would have to convince you because
Correct.
I'm taking it's a very. I mean, we're gonna give our bold takes here in a second, but that's my. I'm down on the hill on that one. I am.
Okay. Well, I know there's one last thing you wanted to get to here before we close the show.
Mm-hmm. So, I want each of us. I want to give each of us give us 5, but it would be our Ohio State, what's called our primetime top 10 bowl takes. Top 10 bowl takes. Now, how we gonna do this? I'll give one. You give one.
Mm-hmm.
I highly doubt we'll have the same ones because I would assume they're pretty specific. So
yeah, I've got pretty specific ones.
So I'll start here. My first one is Claire finishes 3rd in receptions and yards.
Yeah, you've mentioned that before on the show. That's certainly bold. I don't see how that's just based off their history of use of the tight end spot under Ryan Day. I don't know if that's something that's going to happen.
I think he's going to be open a lot, and I don't think Ryan Day has had a tight end like this with the wide receiver unit that he has now. We look back at Jeremy Rucker, he wasn't with the same recruiting or not same wide receiver group that this team has right now. That's why I think there's a chance they might. So he's going to be spread out a bit more. Line him up with linebackers and line him up with smaller defensive backs. So it's a hot take. It is.
It is a hot take, and part of the reasons why I disagree with it is because of what I'm about to say.
Okay.
My bold take is that Jeremiah Smith has 1,500 receiving yards as a sophomore. He has over 1,500 receiving yards.
Okay. We're gonna come back to that. We have our guest real quick. I have a few some questions for him, but that right there, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. But while we're here, let's go ahead and bring in our guest, my guy Ryan Fravel. Where are you, Brave? Where are you, Ben? Good to see you. How you been?
Good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Ryan meet Ryan. Ryan meet Ryan.
You got a great name.
Yeah, best name, goated name.
Exactly.
So, Ryan, I brought you on here, my friend, because I had a few questions about Notre Dame that somewhat contain Ohio State. Okay.
Yeah.
Real quick, because I don't think I ever actually got to talk to you about this.
Yeah.
What were your feelings after the national championship game?
Depression. That's
what did you expect him to say?
That's exactly what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, I mean, going into the game, I mean, I thought, especially after the first drive, I'm like, all right, we got this. I'm like, even though Riley went over the sideline and puked, it's not sustainable. We got this. We just keep running the ball. We have Riley run the ball 60 times. We got this. And then Ohio State goes on that offensive drive, and it was just, to me, it seemed like boom, 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 boom. Made it look easy. I'm like, okay, well, Ohio State's got a great offense. We'll figure it out. And then everything from there, basically till the middle part of the third quarter, went to crap. The game plan didn't work. I thought we went away from our identity a lot in that game. Part of that has to do with Ohio State, forcing us to not just sit back there and be able to run the ball effectively. and making Riley Leonard a drop back passer, which is not where he's comfortable at. Now I'll give him credit. Second half, he kind of made the game, competitive. Coming down to that final third down where Notre Dame got to stop. Who knows what happens? But props to Ohio State, man. You guys had the better team. And it just sucks because I was at that game live in person, and I had to leave that stadium in freezing cold weather.
Yeah, it was cold down there. I was down there too. I didn't go to the game, but it was cold.
Yeah. And I had to sit out there and wait for my Uber for an hour with Ohio State fans that are drunk. And all I heard the entire night was OHIO.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, yeah. All right.
Well, Ryan, me and you talked a lot before that game. We were in a lot of spaces, and like Ryan, I kept telling him that I told him how the game would go. A lot of us told him how the game would go. Now, I will say this, and to be quite honest with you, after that Jim Knowles interview, I'm having second thoughts about what happened in that second half. But that's another conversation for another day. But that second half, though, is what I really want to get to about you guys. And again, it's kind of an Ohio State. It deals with Ohio State, especially with Marcus Freeman being a Buckeye. But I feel like early in Freeman's career, there's some similarities between him and Day in terms of, of course, Freeman had a rougher first year, but you're seeing some very early success in the, in your first 3 seasons, you go to a national championship and you lose.
Yeah.
Clearly, your recruiting has gotten better. I think anyone that's even a blind man could see that. How do you think that with those 3 losses to Ohio State, with losing that national championship, where do you think Freeman is leading Notre Dame right now?
So, I mean, it's always the world of shoulda, woulda, coulda. In my opinion, I felt like Notre Dame, they had a lead in the fourth quarter of 2 of the 3 matchups. They just couldn't figure out to close. A lot of that had to do with Ohio State, 1, being the more talented team, having more margin for error, and 2, I think Freeman's inexperience showed in those games. And I still think even in the national championship, you showed Marcus Freeman where he's came from is still like Ryan Day has had more years of head coaching experience. So Ryan Day has arrived. Marcus Freeman is still on his way there. But I do think that I agree with you that I think Marcus Freeman is kind of in that Ryan Day, Kirby Smart type of situation in his coaching, process of where now he's made it to a national championship. The only thing left for him to do is figure out, okay, 1, how do I get back there? And 2, how do I finish the job when I get there? I think that's where we're at now. I do think that Notre Dame is a better program now than it ever was in my 24 years of living. Even the Brian Kelly years. I mean, I've had people, you are in spaces with me, bring up the whole.
I'm a Brian Kelly truther. You know me. You know me. Hey, just so you know, Ryan, my co-host Ryan here, he knows I'm a Brian Kelly stan. I make no bones about it. You know what it is. GVSU Lakers over here, baby. So no talking about the D2 GOAT.
Well, people in space is how they get to trolling, but I've heard it. Well, Brian Kelly took you to a national championship. Marcus Freeman took both got blown out. Well, the blowout against Alabama was way different than the one against Ohio State. I think the Ohio State one, this Notre Dame team, was by far the best Notre Dame team I've seen in my lifetime. And I think they
beat 2005.
See, 2005. I think they do just because of who the coach was. I don't trust Charlie Weiss.
Okay. You don't trust him or his diet?
Well, either of them. Man, his last belt loop was holding on for dear life his entire coaching tenure. But yeah, I mean, I think we're coming along. I just think that what you saw in the national championship is a difference between a program that is completely solidified themselves and found their identity and has gotten through that process, and then a team that is still, they're almost there, but they're just not there yet.
Ryan, you want to talk?
I would agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. It's clear that Freeman was able to, bring something to the program that Kelly couldn't. I mean, he left Notre Dame and said specifically the fact that he didn't think he could win at the highest level out of Notre Dame. I think Freeman's proven that that's false. Getting to a national championship game is fairly impressive this early in his career.
Isn't that exactly what Kelly's talking about?
What, the fact that he couldn't win at the highest level? They got to a national championship game and they played one of the,
they went to the playoffs. They went to the playoffs. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, they only went to the playoff, and then they smoked when they got to the playoff. So Freeman has done, a lot better already than what Kelly has been able to do, and quite frankly, a tougher college football playoff model. I definitely think he's got him on the right track.
And I mean, this is the first year heading into 2025. This is the first year where this is Freeman's guys. This is Freeman's class. This is the guys he recruited. The guys that you saw when, we had seven starters out for a majority of the season, including the playoff run. These were those freshmen and sophomores that you saw playing big moments. The Leonard Moore, who is widely considered a top 3, if not the best corner returning in college football next year, who was a true freshman last year. The Don Schuler, who is a redshirt freshman starting at strong safety for us. We had guys playing in big game moments and big game football games late. You didn't really see that with Oaksville lacrosse with. No, man, I'm sorry. We're going for the three-peat. As you can see, the back-to-back national champs going for the third.
Yeah, that game was not great.
I saw that score.
Yeah, no, but I mean, again, Brian Kelly, I think, got Notre Dame back to being a program that was a top 15 to 20 team on a pretty consistent basis. So he's going to get you 10 wins, but he's never, anytime he got to the big game, immediately choked. Me personally, last year, I don't think if Brian Kelly's the head coach, I don't think we beat Georgia. I don't think we beat Penn State. We probably beat Indiana because those are the types of games he won. But I think that's the Freeman difference, is especially with Brian Kelly's biggest argument was talent, right? I just don't have enough talent. Well, you look at the recruiting rankings and the blue chip ratio, Penn State and Georgia had way more talent than Notre Dame last year, and Notre Dame still beat both of them with 7 starters out. So I think that's the big difference.
Well, before we let you go here, my last question is this. Actually, I'll give you about 3 or 4 different questions. I just want answers for them before we get going here. How many touchdowns does CJ Carr throw this season if he starts?
I'm thinking around the 25, 26 range, because I do think the passing offense is going to be a lot better.
Mm-hmm. He's going to throw that many.
But I don't think he's going to have more than Riley did easily.
I would hope so.
Yeah. The problem is that, again, when you have guys like Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price in your running back room, and you have a top 5 offensive line coming back, Notre Dame's not going to go away from that enough to where you're going to see CJ Carr just drop back and throw 40 passes a game. If CJ Carr's throwing 40 passes a game,
you guys in trouble.
We have an issue.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah.
So I think that's just part of the offense. I think what you're looking for, CJ, is next year. When Jeremiah Love's gone, Price is most likely gone. Some of the offensive line will probably get drafted. That's when I think you'll start to see Notre Dame lean more on Carr's ability to pass.
Okay. And then my last one, because I don't know if you probably didn't hear, but we were just talking about this, and me and my co-host Ryan clearly have different views on Jeremiah Love. where I think Jeremiah Love is a special running back. I think
I think he's very good.
No, but wait. He thinks he's very but there's a clear difference in what we think about him. You think he's very good. I think Jeremiah Love is special. I think he's a better prospect than Ashton Genty. I think he's that guy. So my question to you is this: Does Jeremiah Love end up in New York at the end of the season?
No, unfortunately. I think he can, but we saw what happened with last year with Ashton Genty, who was averaging 30 carries a game, and still didn't win it. I just don't think Jeremiah Love's going to get enough opportunities to enough carries. Last year he averaged 10 carries a game, which
6.9 per. 6.9 per though.
7 yards per carry, but the problem is I don't think 10 yards a carry per game is enough to get the Heisman. And that's just a part of he's not a guy you're going to sit there and run like Ashton Genty into the ground, because one, you saw what happened last year towards the end of the season when he got injured against USC and then was sick against Indiana and then re-injured that same ankle in the Indiana game and was just not effective as much down the stretch. And also the fact that you have Jadarian Price and our running back room is one of the best in the country from a depth standpoint. So I just don't think there's a need to give him, maybe you see it improve to 14 carries a game, but even then, I just don't think it's enough.
For sure, Ryan, man. Thanks for coming on, bro. I love talking football with you, man. You let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on X, always in spaces, always around at @Fervel_Ryan. Me and Garrison are always found in the spaces talking ball. So, yeah, that's where you can find me.
All right, brother, man. Thanks for coming on. I'll talk to you soon, man. Thank you.
Yep, sounds good, man. Appreciate it.
All right, now.
Jeremiah Smith, 1,500 receiving yards.
I'm with you. Book it all the way. Book it all the way. You know what? I think that, and by the way, everyone, if you're just joining, if you're on X watching, we're now going into our top 10 our top bold takes, 5 of each from us, our top 10 for the show. Ryan, you just said Jeremiah Smith gets 1,500 yards.
Yeah. That's my first take.
Let me lead into my second bold take that's bouncing right off of that one. Julian Santos, 35+ touchdowns.
You've been saying that for a while now.
Yeah, okay. I think this offense is going to light it up. I think by game 4, I think they'll be comfortable. I think Hartline will be comfortable, much more comfortable than, of course, the game week 1 or 2, of course, week 1. And I think by then Julian should be very comfortable. I think they're gonna let him throw that ball. I think you're gonna see a lot of what the 2021 offense looked like. So
I think, okay, so my next one, and this is, it's certainly a bold take based on what we've seen the last, 11 years before last year. I think Ohio State gets another return touchdown this year, whether that's punt return or kick return. I think that's especially true if they keep Caleb Downs as the returner. We'll see if that ends up happening or if they stick Ennis as the permanent returner. But we saw what Downs did against IU. He's got the juice to do it. So I think they get another one next year.
Okay. Again, I like this. Bouncing right off. Well, I'll get to Antoine. Which one am I smoking crack on? Which one? Antoine, please, this is a place where we talk facts. So this is, I love Johnny, I love Mays. This is not gonna be one of those places where we don't have facts. Tell me why, because if you're talking about Julian, I think you're in for a rude awakening about the average of touchdowns first-year quarterbacks get in Ryan Day's system or offense. 35 touchdowns is almost a bare minimum. So
you're right. What's your next take?
The next one, because you brought up Downs last year from the punt return, right? I have Caleb Downs getting 4 interceptions this season.
That's a lot of interceptions.
I think I think they're going to let him roam around. I think you remember, some defenses, like whether it be Jabril Peppers at Michigan or Honey Badger at LSU, they kind of have the guy that kind of able to do whatever the hell he wants to on the field.
Yeah.
I think within the defense, I think Matt Patricia knows he has the ability to do this with Downs. I think he's going to. I think Downs is going to get, like, whether that be off of tipped passes, like him knocking it to himself, whether that be jumping routes. I mean, right, if you go back to that Oregon game, right, Caleb Downs should have had 2 or 3 interceptions in that game.
Yeah.
So, I think he's a ball hawk. I think he can do it. So, Downs has 4 interceptions.
Okay. My next bold take. Not all these bold takes are going to be good for Ohio State. I'm also just going to go ahead and put that out
I like
as
this.
well.
I like this. Okay.
So my next one is one that is not going to be so great to Ohio State fans. I don't think that the Ohio State defensive line has any single player record more than 4 sacks this year. That includes Bo Atkinson.
Does that include Edric?
Yes.
Does that include Kenyatta?
Everyone
you don't think Kenyatta's getting 4 sacks?
I don't think he's getting more than 4 sacks. More than 4 sacks. The
what?
over-under's 4.
Do you think
I guess
that's
4.5.
Okay? And I'm assuming you think that's because of the play, not so much of the rotation.
It's a combination of a lot of things.
Okay.
It's a combination of the type of defense Matt Patricia, might run. We might see a lot of more 4 linebacker sets out there. We're going to see more defensive backs out there at times as well. I do think there will be a bit of a rotation out there too. So I think a confluence of all of these factors, and the fact that really Bo is the only guy who is proven. Like, he's the only guy who has been a proven pass rusher. So I think just adding all that together equals not a very exciting sack total from the defensive line. That doesn't necessarily mean that I don't think the defensive line is going to play well in other factors, but the sack totals I think are going to be lower.
I like that. Do I want to save my? No, okay. You know what? I'm gonna keep bouncing off of yours. Mine are all good things, but I do like the negative one. I do like that. I mean, I can't even really call it negative.
We gotta balance it out.
But sticking at the D line, I have May I disagree with you a little bit? I have Edric Houston being All-American.
Yeah, that'd be a clear disagreement from what I just said.
Yeah,
okay.
Yes. I think that I think Edric is going to be I think he's going to be the second best defensive player on this team, behind Downs. I think that with him being a D tackle, his height, his size, his arm length, he is a mismatch at that position, while understanding he can also go out to edge or D end. So I think that he's using a lot of multiple ways, and I think that he's going to be a game wrecker. I think he's going to be a game wrecker in the run game and the pass game. Also, again, with his size and his length, you're going to see a lot of batted balls from Edric Houston. A lot of batted balls.
All right. So my next one, we're going to shift to special teams.
Okay.
I think Jaden Fielding only misses 1 kick all year.
Woo!
I think he only misses 1 kick. He mentioned that he was injured at the end of last year, and that's why he missed those kicks against Michigan. The Tennessee kick was obviously not something he should have ever tried. No. He's been money in spring. He was money during the spring game. I actually have a renewed faith in Jaden Fielding.
I do too. I think Jaden Fielding is going to be really good this season. So going into my last one, I had James Peoples averaging 6 yards per carry for these, and this is all regular season for me, by the way. But I have James Peoples averaging 6 yards per carry.
Interesting.
I think that behind Downs, I've come to your side a bit more. I think Downs is going to be the guy to start out at running back, but I think that James Peoples is going to I think he's going to take advantage of a lot of situations when he's in the game. I think that the field's going to be really spread out this season. And I think James Peoples is the type of guy that can he cuts very well. He's shorter, so I think behind our offensive line he can hide. And I do believe we're going to have one of the best. I think we're going to have the best interior O line in the country, or at least one of them. So yeah, I think that James Peoples averages 6 yards a carry. And what's your last one?
My last one, and this isn't a specific player one. I think we go to Ann Arbor and kick the shit out of Michigan. Like it's not even just going to be a win.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's going to be a 24-point victory. That's my last bold take.
To that point, I do agree with you, and I've told people, I can't really give you football. I can give you some football reasons on why I believe it, but we haven't seen anything till today. I mean, we haven't seen anything yet today, but I have Ohio State curb stomping them this season.
Yeah.
So, I know, but I'm gonna have a graphic made for our list. I think it's a really good list for us right here. I think we have some pretty good bull takes. So
I think so too.
All right then.
Anything else? Yeah. Anything else you want to cover here? The jet lag's getting me. Anything else you got?
So everyone, if you're in here right now, if you're not a member, you're gonna want to be a member. I've held this news pretty long now for I've been working on this for 2 weeks. And we just got it confirmed last Wednesday, I believe. Friday, I've been holding on to it. But next week, Tuesday, we will only for members. So eventually at a later time, everyone else will be able to see it. Maybe who knows when. But as of right now, just for members, they will be able to see live us interview Luke Montgomery here at the channel. Ohio State's starting left guard from the playoffs and coming into the season. I'm really excited for it. Yeah. Really happy to bring this to you guys on the channel. I'm happy to interview him, but I think it'd be really cool for you guys to see, the inner makings. Not inner makings, but what makes him tick. What makes him the football player he is, the man he is, what has helped him get to this point, especially being the player he is from Ohio. Ryan, don't forget to give me that question because I really want to ask.
I'll be giving you questions, don't worry.
But yeah, guys, it's really we're gonna work on trying to get recruits here. I think it's really cool to have recruits on your channel, things like that. But I'm really happy that we got Luke Montgomery, and I look forward to having him on here for you guys to see.
Yeah, but, we're definitely excited to see that, and we'll have, like Garrison said, we'll have hopefully a bunch of things coming here for you guys on the channel in the next few weeks.
I forgot to mention this. I will be doing a draw for all the members. I know all the members aren't in here right now, and I'm gonna make sure to put this on X so everyone can see. But if you're a member, I will be. I'm gonna do a draw, and I will be giving 3 members an opportunity to ask a question to Luke. So that we're gonna be doing that also. So yeah,
cool.
But outside of that, man, again, just like, share, subscribe to the channel. Be sure to check out all the rest of the content that we have here, all the other programs that we have here at the College Football, the Voice of College Football. Yeah, man, I think that's it.
All right.
Sounds good. Let you get in it. By the way, I'm proud of you. Usually when your cat gets in the screen, throw him across the window.
Well, she was getting in here. Now she's screaming downstairs for some reason.
You missed her. Just say you missed her.
Well, she definitely missed us. She definitely missed us.
Yeah.
But we will see you guys on Thursday for the call-in show. So bring your takes, comments, and we're looking forward to talking to you guys then. We'll see you Thursday at 8. OH.
Ayo.